What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday to you. It's your boy Clint from the Die Hard MMA podcast, and I gotta tell you, I am still fighting with these damn allergies. If you watched the Total Takedown yesterday, I was a mess. It's not any better. Apparently, I fell asleep with my mouth open, so now my throat's all jacked up. So bear with me. I apologize. The energy's a little bit low, and I may start coughing halfway through this thing. I'm going to do my best to get through it for you. Do me a favor and hit the like button if you haven't already. As always, these odds are brought to you by Superbook Sports. Those are the lines we use, and you can get a deposit match, a first deposit match, up to $250 using promo code SUPERDIEHARD over at Superbook Sports for a risk-free first bet. Let's talk about these fighters. Let's see what they look like on the scales, and then see if we can make any final bets that'll help us make some money tomorrow. First fight of the night, Thimba Gorimbo taking on Takashi Sato. Gorimbo made a 170 on the dot. Sato needed the extra half pound. Thimba looked fantastic. He was first to the scale, shredded up, looked great, rocking a new goatee. You love to see it. Takashi Sato, he worried me a little bit today because he's not his usual smiley self. He's usually very, very happy, and I didn't even get the whole like dialed in must win type of attitude from him. It almost seemed like he was a little deflated, so maybe the cut was rough for him or something. Maybe he just slept and woke up on the wrong side of the bed. I don't know, but I'm not really liking what I saw from the body language of Takashi Sato today. Very respectful face-off. Looks like a slight size advantage for Thimba Gorimbo. That's the side I'm on. I got to him earlier in the week. He's now a minus 120 favorite. I like that side. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Thimba Gorimbo go ahead and finish this fight. We've seen Takashi Sato struggle on the mat before, so even if he just grinds this thing out, he should at least win a decision, but I'm not going to be surprised to see a sub or even like a ground and pound TKO type of situation for Thimba. Sato's been getting knocked out as well lately, so yeah, I like that side. I like violence to kick off the night. Next up, we've got Victoria Leonardo taking on Natalia Silva. Both women came in at 124.5 pounds. No issues for Victoria Leonardo. She looked as good as ever. You got to give her credit for always coming in and doing the dang thing. Natalia Silva, she looks cute. She looks adorable. And then you notice the flexation of her shoulder muscles while she's standing up there. And suddenly you're terrified. This woman is a monster. They decide to face off here. This was a very intense stare down. I gotta tell you, Silva's very, very imposing up there. She can win this fight however she wants. I'm probably going to play Natalia Silva inside the distance. The only problem here for me is the under 2.5 is minus 135, and I've seen Natalia Silva inside the distance at minus 150. I'm debating, because I did this last time where I completely disregarded the finishing ability of her opponent and I paid the wrong price tag and my fighter got finished instead of the other way around. However, once again, I'm going to go ahead and challenge the MMA gods here. I really don't see Victoria Leonardo finishing this fight. So I might just pony up, take the bad price, pay the extra 15 cents, and have Natalia Silva inside the distance, because this fight probably ends before the final bell unless she decides she wants 15 minutes of dominance. It's got to all be coming from Silva, though. She's far and away the better fighter, stronger, more athletic. She finishes this weekend. Nick Fiore taking on Chase Hooper up next, the talk of the town on MMA Twitter. We've got Nick Fiore 154, my guy Chase Hooper 156. And Nick Fiore gave a solid flex, no problem, very relaxed on the scales today. Chase Hooper, though, my boy looked good. Up there with the extra 10 pounds on that frame, he gave a very solid flex. I tweeted about it. He looks way better up at 155. And I know he's still a string beanie, tall, skinny type of dude, but I can't imagine where those 10 pounds came from now that I've seen him weighing up there at 155. Large height advantage for my guy Chase Hooper. Right now we've got Nick Fiore, minus 125 the favorite, Chase Hooper plus 105. I've got a 3-unit bomb on Chase Hooper. I'm trusting him here in this spot. I think this is a whole lot of recency bias. Everyone wants to fade my guy because he was too weak, too small down at 145. Now, of course, he's moving up against much bigger, stronger people. There's the perceived striking edge of Nick Fiore. Hooper just got knocked out. I think the knockout had a lot to do with the weight cut. I think the knockout had a lot to do with a much cleaner striker. Realistically, Nick Fiore's best moments in the UFC has been being a suitable punching bag in his first UFC fight. He hasn't really shown us anything to impress us, and Hooper, even moving up, still has a big size advantage. The last piece of this puzzle for me, and this is the part I love, the big guy over at Superbook Sports is on our boy Chase Hooper. I got confirmation of that yesterday. I checked in with my guy Andrew from Superbook Sports. I always love when I make a bet, I think I'm being sharp, and then I find out that their number one MMA bettor is on the same side as me. He came in on Chase Hooper this week, so it looks like That's the side we're going to rock with. And I also played the Chase Hooper by TKO. That is plus 650 for a half unit. I know people are mocking me for that, but if you guys remember my viral moment where Chase Hooper got the TKO a year or so ago, I'm going right back to the well. I think the same thing could happen. We're not dealing with a natural striker. We're dealing with Fiore, who's a black belt and a grappler first, who likes to jump on front chokes and attack off of his back. If he ends up in bottom or in scrambles with Chase Hooper, Chase can probably find his way to top position, and that ground and pound is nasty. Sprinkle that round 3 TKO. 35-1, baby. Come on, Chase. Just do it again for me. Just same exact thing. Just do it one more time for me. I absolutely would love it. Next up, Ilya Latifi taking on Rodrigo Nascimento. Latifi 149.5, Nascimento 164.5. The human fire hydrant, no issues whatsoever for Ilya, just doing his thing up there. Nascimento, your classic heavyweight, no problems, but definitely tipping the scales here, half pound shy of 265. These guys look like they're legitimately 2 weight classes different. Now, I've always said I thought that Latifi was too small even at 205, and I don't understand how he's even had success moving up to heavyweight. Frankly, he's fought absolute cans and bums and retirees. That's how he's had success at heavyweight. He's facing a real true heavyweight here in this spot. I think Latifi's probably going to get a takedown or two. He probably has a little bit of early success, but I think moving around somebody whose body is almost literally twice the size of his is eventually going to catch up to him. Yeah, I think Nascimento still wins this fight, and I think he still probably knocks Latifi out. Maybe in the second round, but that's the way I'm looking here on this one. Latifi's made a fool of me before, so I'm not going all gung-ho and like hammering this line or anything like that. But I'm picking Nascimento by knockout. Orion Kosi is taking on Gilbert Urbina. And we've got our first slip-up of the day. Kosi came in at 172.5. That's right, 2 pounds over the limit. Gilbert Urbina, 170 on the dot. Kosi looked rough on the scales today. I mean, big, deep breaths. He looked exhausted. You could see the muscles in his face. He was wavering a little bit up there when they were trying to tell him to wait a second. So, like, bad cut. Really bad cut. And we know these guys have gas issues to begin with. I'm not sure this warrants the tinfoil cap because we know the Kosi brothers go for broke in round 1 and then slow down over the course of the rest of the fight. But with that bad weight cut, with the way he looked on the scales today, we'll go ahead and rock the tinfoil cap. I've got 2 bombs this week, folks. My first bomb was Chase Hooper. My second bomb is none other than Mr. Gilbert Urbina. I locked this in way earlier in the week. It's not an undefeated post-weigh-in show type of pick. I made this play days ago. But I did get him at plus money, and I tweeted out that any plus money is good money on this guy. I felt like the wrong fighter was favored in this case. Urbina looked fantastic. We haven't seen this kid in, 2 straight years at this point? So I'm expecting big improvements. I'm expecting growth. He looked much more naturally suited to 170, and he's got a big size advantage. So, like, the guy who is smaller is the guy who's struggling in this spot. I really think this is a spot where Gilbert Urbina is literally better everywhere except for the pure wrestling. He should be able to show out in this spot. He's minus 105 now, and I kind of think he knocks out Kosi. I really do. I think Kosi's going to get tired and Urbina's going to pound him through the canvas floor. Next up, we got Vanessa Demopoulos taking on Karolina Kowalkiewicz, and we got some more to talk about here. Vanessa Demopoulos made 117.5 pounds. Is that right? Is that the right number? I didn't think it was 117. It was 117. Holy crap, Okay, so never mind. I'm sorry. I mixed up my weight classes. She missed by 2 pounds as well. And she looked terrible, folks. Like, I was looking at betting Vanessa all week. I'm a KK hater. I kind of think that Karolina is still shot, and she's been getting by facing the minimum level of competition that you can fight in the UFC, and that's what's brought her back from retirement. And I thought Vanessa may be one step too far, and she can probably come out and do the damn thing. New camp, training at Elevation, Factory X, like all the pieces were there. And she looks like a zombie today. I mean, sunken in face, pale, like she looked like she was barely able to get up on that stage. KK, on the other hand, had a great tan, big smile, looked comfortable, looked good. KK is also slightly larger when these two face down. It was a good stare down. Vanessa could still win this fight, but I'm not betting it. This is going to be enough to keep me off. I was very much looking towards the Vanessa Demopoulos side. I even had some private conversations with some people, some who were with me, some who were against me, and I was debating whether or not to pull the trigger on Vanessa. This is the type of read that, with her looking so awful on the scales, I'm definitely not going to go to that well. If Karolina is feeling good and she's healthy and Vanessa has any type of gas tank issues because of this rough weight cut, if she's at all diminished in her first fight with a new camp, this could be a spot where she just drops the ball. So I'm going to go ahead and stay far, far away from this one. This will become a fireball and popcorn fight. We're just going to watch this one, see how it plays out. I will kick myself just a little bit if Vanessa TKOs her, because I talked about that 10-1 Vanessa by knockout line, but the way she looked on the scale today, I'm just not feeling it. Next up, Slava Claus Borschev taking on none other than Maheshate. We've got Slava 154.5, Maheshate 155.5. Big smile for Slava, great shape, no issues. Same could be said for Maheshate. He looked fantastic on the scale today. His abs are popping, showing off. This was a really good face-off. You know, Maheshate's big thing is he's huge for the weight class. That's really his thing, is he's absolutely massive. He's not as big as I thought he was going to be. Slava had a height disadvantage, of course, but not nearly as pronounced as I expected. Right now, Slava is minus 160. You've got Maheshate plus 140. And I've leaned to the dog basically all week. It's another spot that I think I've kind of settled back here. I dropped big bets on a couple of places already this week. I don't think I need to play every single dog on this card because, frankly, I think every single dog on this card is live. And that's scary when that happens because, you know, probably only about 1/3 of them are actually going to come through, even though they're live. So I don't want to be betting on the wrong ones. And I kind of have this sinking sensation where if you bet every single dog just blindly, every single dog on this card, except for going against Natalia Silva, of course. If you just blindly bet every single dog on this card, I think you probably end up making money because enough of them are closely lined and will come through for you. But this is one I've decided to pass on. If it looks good in fight, I'll go ahead and bet it. I can always see Maheshate. Like, I know people don't think this is real, but he could just like land on top of Slava. Like if they end up in any kind of a scramble at all, he could end up in top position on him, and then he's bigger, and that could be enough to make the difference. While they're at striking, I think it's relatively close. Slava is definitely the better of the two, the more refined of the two, so I'll give him the edge there. Maybe he's deserving of being the favorite, but he's also not someone who's really been proven at the UFC level as a well-rounded mixed martial artist. So we'll find out. That one's going to be fun. I've decided once again to pass. Carlos Diego Ferreira is taking on Michael Johnson up next. Diego made 154.5, Johnson 155 on the dot. Carlos is another one that looked a little pale today, if I'm being honest, and maybe he pulled his hair back. The stream was brutal today. I mean, jumping all over the place, cutting out. I missed a couple people. I wasn't even able to see them because the stream got so jacked up. I couldn't tell if CDF pulled his hair back in a ponytail or if he had to shave it off to make weight. But he looked a little bit rough up there, if I'm being honest. Michael Johnson, frankly, he looked annoyed. Like, this is business as usual for him. He's been around forever. He looked like he was pissed off that he had to be up there today. Gave a solid flex when he was all done, though, so it's totally fine. MJ slightly taller. These two do size up pretty well. And again, I've leaned Michael Johnson all week. I still think my prediction is MJ by knockout, but I'm not really interested in putting my money on it because MJ has sold me down the river more times than I can count. This is a guy who's winning 99% of the fight and then finds a way to lose. I think this is a fight that he can win. I don't need to put my money on it to find out. That's really the big thing. With his track record of shitting the bed, I'm just going to keep those dollar bills in my pocket. Thank you very much. Joaquin Buckley taking on André Fialho up next. Buckley made 170.5, André 169.5. Buckley looks jacked, absolutely fantastic at 170. We've been talking about how he's undersized at 185. He needs to be at 170. And boy, howdy, did that look good on him this morning. So I think he made the right move. André Fialho is one of the fighters that was a technical difficulty victim. I did not see him here this morning, unfortunately. Size advantage goes to Fialho, but that's no surprise to anybody. Buckley was talking to him the whole time they were up there. I think Buckley is the rightful favorite here in this spot. I'm not ready to trust Fialho. I think he's breakable. He can fall apart. The same could be said for Buckley, though. So it's kind of a game where whoever makes the first mistake, I think, is going to lose. Believe it or not, my hot take on this one is that both these guys are desperate for the win. Both these guys are coming off knockout losses. We see an extended fight. I actually think over 1.5 minus 130 is probably the way I would play this. I kind of expect Buckley via like round 2, round 3 knockout because he gets stronger the deeper the fight goes, whereas Fialho seems to get figured out and fades the deeper the fight goes. I wouldn't be surprised if this thing makes it to round 3. So I'm going to say over 1.5 minus 130. Pardon me. I'm sorry, everybody. I warned you. I warned you at the beginning of the show that this was crap that I'm dealing with. So I'm trying. I'm going to get through this thing here for you real quick. Emily Ducote Lupi Godinez, 119.5 for both women. This is a 120-pound catch weight due to the short notice fill-in of Lupi here. Both of them look fine. No issues on the scales at all today for either of them. This was a very good face-off. They size up extremely well, and I've been tempted to play Lupi basically all week. She's minus 155 now, so slight line movement her direction. I do lean her way. I do think this goes all 15 minutes. I think it's close. I think it's competitive. I think you could argue for the split decision. Honestly, I don't have a great feel on this fight. I think Emily Ducote's better than people are giving her credit for, and Lupi always seems to be ever so slightly overvalued, so I don't really want to lay chalk on her in this particular spot in what could be yet another split decision close type of fight on short notice for Lupi, who, unless I'm mistaken, has not won a short notice fill-in spot yet. So I'm going to leave that one alone. Co-main event, Anthony Hernandez takes on Edmen Shahbazyan. Hernandez 186, Edmen 185.5. Fluffy looked great. He looked dialed in, focused, intense on the scale today. His opponent, Edmen Shahbazyan, I unfortunately did not get to see on the scales today, but when he came out for the face-offs, he looked fine. He looked fantastic. I mean, he's always kind of a pale guy, so he's not like losing weight pale. He's just a pasty white boy. So he's got a huge size advantage here in this spot. That's kind of the story of UFC Vegas 73. There's size advantages all over this card, significant ones. He's a big boy. So we know this fight, honestly, is not, my opinion of this fight has not changed whatsoever by these face-offs. I think Edmen's got to win this fight early. I think he hits hard enough. I think he's the much cleaner striker that he absolutely can win this fight via one-round KO. And that's kind of what I'm banking on. I bet him at plus 195 earlier in the week. He's plus 175 now, so I did beat a nice little line move there. I don't mind the Edmen inside the distance or by knockout because I do think that's his most likely path to victory. Hell, even if you want to go Edmen round one, it's like plus 650. That would maybe be an okay way to go. I do think that Hernandez is hittable, and he's going to force the action in this fight, which will give Edmen opportunities to win. However, if Edmen doesn't win early, then he's going to get grounded on by Hernandez. Fluffy does that to people. He just grinds you into dust, and I think that we've seen Edmen Shahbazyan enough be put on the back foot, be put on his back break, and then fade away as the fight goes on. Now, his takedown defense has been looking improved. His cardio has been looking improved, and with him being the much bigger fighter, there's a chance that the things we think we know are not accurate anymore, which is why I'm taking the dog shot. It's just a one-unit play, but I do have Edmen Shahbazyan money line. I may sprinkle the knockout because, like I said, I think that's the most likely path to victory there. But at 2-1, I was okay with that number. Like, I didn't need much more on my bet than the 2-1. At the plus 350 for the knockout, maybe I'll put a half unit on it or something. But I'm plugging my nose and I'm rolling with Edmen Shahbazyan. I need him to show up and prove to us that he's still the guy we thought he was when he first got to the UFC. Main event time. Mackenzie Dern taking on Angie Hill. Didn't get to see Angie, unfortunately, again today. Mackenzie Dern, however, looked fantastic on the scales. She came in at 115, 114.5 for Angela Hill. This was a great face-off. These two size up really well, very intense. Angela Hill has somehow perfected being both disrespectfully intense and extremely respectful of her opponents. I don't know how she does it, but she does. These two were very intense in their stare down. They size up extremely well. Angie looks like she's in phenomenal shape. I do worry about the outside of cage things going on for Mackenzie Dern. She's going through a divorce. She switched to camp. Like, these are all things that take time and energy and pull you away. If she's coming in not 100%, then I think André is extremely live in this spot. And I know some very, very sharp people who did go ahead and take that stab on Angela Hill. She's a plus 155 dog, minus 175 for Dern. I think it's dog or pass from a betting perspective. I kind of like the under 4.5. I do think somebody finds their way to a finish here in this spot, whether it's Angie beating her to a pulp or Dern eventually finding her way to the ground or, you know, climbing her like a tree or pulling guard or something like that. Dern's just, I can't get over how dangerous her jiu-jitsu skill set is. And I know it's been a long time, but Angie Hill got submitted by Randa Marcos. Like, if Marcos is tapping you out, then Dern absolutely can too. So I'm going to leave this one alone. I'm going to pick Mackenzie Dern. I think I'm keeping my money in my pocket for my main event though here. Good luck at UFC Vegas 73, everybody. Pray I get better. We got a week off next week, so thank God, like, if I'm doing a podcast on Monday, it doesn't have to be a long one with me choking on my own snot like this. But good luck on all your degenerate action, everybody. And I will see you for the fights tomorrow. I'll tweet my official card. Give me a follow at Die Hard MMA Pod on Twitter. Let's roll.